are putting together a great series of calls and continuing to amplify our series of calls that happen. We've got great guests that are coming in and presenting on great topics. So make sure that you are regularly checking out the events tab and RSVPing for those calls so that they will show up on your calendar. You get a calendar link once you RSVP, throw it on your calendar, and then you won't miss the call. So that is some of what's been going on here in the community. We also have an upcoming event. Our next AI executive certification is happening on Tuesday, March 10th. And that is in the event tab. Check it out and join us for that next certification call that's coming up. All right, just going through my list here, taking a look at what's going on. We have a new segment on the call. We launched this 2 weeks ago. We're gonna probably run this on a every other week session. So it is called Mindset Matters. And this session is all about making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, calibrating our brains and bodies to deal with the accelerating and exponential pace of change that we're all dealing with, and giving us the tools to deal with clients and prospective clients in terms of fear over, job loss and displacement and things like that. So there's a lot of mindset stuff that has to happen as we're going through the world of AI. It's just not the technical bits and pieces. And I thought this was an important point to add to the call. So Dr. Toy Hirschman, who is our head of product here at Chief AI Officer, is a domain expert in this area, and I would like to invite and introduce everybody to Toy if you don't know her yet. And let's get into some mindset matters. I think she's got a little test for us, and she talked about the AQ. I didn't know what AQ is, the agility quotient. Take it away, Toy. I'm all ears.
All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Woo! I hear you screaming. So I thought this would be fun because who didn't love a Cosmo quiz when they were a teenager? Who was a teenager when I was? Um, I thought that I read this article and this book by a woman named Liz Tran, and she's just brand new book. It is already on Audible though, so that's how I read things. And she talks about, and there's source links in the document, she talks about AQ, which is agility quotient. So we all heard about IQ, right? That's pretty much useless at this point. EQ was the new one that came out, and not that long ago, but in emotional, like your emotional quotient, how you understand and process other people's emotions, and it helps, how that applies to leadership. But I thought this was really interesting because it's AQ. And, and now more than ever, we're dealing with massive change all the time. Like not just like little shifts every now and then. We're talking like every day some new thing happens. And so our ability to adapt and to be agile in that environment is really important, right? And I'm like my face is in the way for me to move to the next slide. Okay, there we go. Do the old-fashioned way. Hit the button. Okay. So, we're going at the speed of light. And I mean, if you think about it, how many wildly disparate like decisions that you have to make every single day. It's like pivoting all day long. And I know with all of our responsibilities, our jobs, our clients, all of these things, it can be a lot. And so your ability to handle that is really, really important. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not. There we go. All right. User error. All right. So I told you this, IQ, processing information, EQ, managing people and relationships, and now AQ, succeed in unpredictable situations. And that's really what we need to do because every situation right now is unpredictable. I love this quote at the bottom. And it says, in the age of AI, your value is not what you know, it's how fast you can unlearn what's no longer true. I listen to, and Lee, forgive me if you're going to talk about this later, but I listen to your Moonshots podcast now all the time because after you introduced me to it. And there was one this week about schools. Did you listen to that one? Yeah, I'm sure you did. There
I
was
I
one this week about,
I caught part of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. And so as someone who was an educator in the K through 12 space, um, it really I was just getting angrier and angrier at what I already knew was a lot of problems with our current school system. And I have children in that system. So it they were talking about alpha schools. You should listen to it. It's really great if you guys haven't. But it's just a new way of thinking. And one of the things that one of the founders of the schools that she said, the problem really isn't the the teachers not wanting to change or the students or even the administration. The biggest problem in their estimation was parents, because parents want to learn the way they want their kids to learn the way that they learn things, which it was bad back then. Why does it have to keep being bad? But in any case, it was really interesting, and I thought about that when I was reading about the AQ. Like that's true. You know, that ability to unlearn the things that no longer serve you is really, really important. All right, so let's take a quiz. Now, you will not have to, you don't get a grade on this. And this is just for your own. I'm happy if anyone wants to share it at the end, but just take a scratch piece of paper if anybody has those things anymore, or your phone or what have you, crayon, marker, whatever you have. So here's the quiz. So question one, there's not that many questions, don't worry. So, what would you do most likely? Which scenario most likely describes what you would do in this case? An update kills your product overnight. What do you do? I'm not, you can read them. I'll let you guys jot down which one you are, A, B, C, or D. Don't overthink it. Looking at you, Steve Brodson. There's two Steves. Pretty good. All right, next question. Your CEO wants an AI product launched next week. What do you do? I should have put the Jeopardy music in here. That would have been fun. Your AI fails spectacularly during a board meeting. What do you do? This is what I call you know, doing a doing a toy, because I've had a couple of these where something like it worked right before I walked in here. Travel. Oh, this is good. Your flight is canceled with 24 hours to departure. What do you do? You're studying quantum mechanics for the very first time. What do you do?
You're in the wrong room.
Think where I thought I was going to English 101. All right. And you've been in deep thought for 2 hours. I'm sure no one on this call has ever had this problem, right? Like every day when you're looking every single day. What do you do after you are in deep thought for 2 hours? All right. Oh, I went too fast. So tally up your score. If you have mostly A's, mostly B's, most figure out which you have most of. If you're half and half, you'll see you can kind of straddle the line between two of the archetypes, but I'm going to show you what the archetypes are. Anyone brave enough to share what they are? I can't see the chat, so you'll have to tell me. All right. So if you had mostly
John
A's,
shared his.
what is it?
Go ahead, sorry.
So if you have mostly A's, that's the astronaut archetype. And the superpower there is you're a great big picture thinker. And that's awesome. You see trends, goals before anybody else does. You guys can read that. But one of the issues there is because of that, sometimes your team can get lost and disconnected. I know I have a lot of astronauts in my life and have with work, and I'm not super like minutia detail, but I really like to know steps. And when I these creative visionaries are going all over the place and I'm trying to distill it into steps, that's probably why I got into instructional design because that was what I have to do all the time. So if you are an astronaut, awesome, but your team might feel a little bit disconnected. So what you could do is help your team by breaking things into, as we say in the K through 12 world, chunks. So take some, instead of like, here's where we start, here's where we finish, maybe make a bunch of milestones in between. This also works if you're a chief AI officer going into a client and you have to kind of read the room and see what you're dealing with. You might know exactly where you can take them, but they might not be ready for the end of the pilot. They might want to know the steps to get to phase one. If you were mostly bees, you are a firefighter and you are really good at crisis management. A lot of moms out there might identify with this statement. That's the first thing I thought when I read this one. So difficult situations, and you're really good at staying calm under pressure, making decisive choices under pressure, and in the heat of a conflict, getting your team together. That's great. But then the issue with that is that in the short term, you try to fix it, but then you might not address the root cause, and then that means it's going to keep happening. So what you can do is pick a time frame and try to find some recurring problems and try to dig down and get to the root cause. One of the coolest ways to do that is something from Toyota, which is called the 5 whys. That's a real fun exercise. It's like you're like a 4-year-old and you just keep asking why and why and why, and then you get to then you get to, oh yeah, that's why. That's really the problem was way different. The root cause was way different than what we thought. All right. If you were mostly C's, you're the novelist and your superpower is foresight. So you have the ability to, I think a lot of us are like this in this community, like you have the ability to see possible outcomes and what might, how different roads you can take. That's awesome because that's something that we really need. That's a super strength for folks that are dealing with AI right now. Pitfall, overthinking it. So you get stuck, you know, you you get stuck in a lane and then it when you could pivot and you don't and you're focusing on completing a task rather than taking other action. So what you could do, um, make an MVP, a first version of your most promising idea. Chris says, I'm gonna misquote him, but he says, what does he say? What does he say, Lee? I always say done is better than perfect. But he says something different, but kind of the same thing. But that's something you could do
Perfect,
is,
perfect. Yeah, perfect is the enemy of done.
yes, there we go. So, creating an MVP, which is a minimal viable product, and just being happy with like this is version 0. And so we're going to keep improving on it over time. And being happy that you accomplished that step and then moving on to improving it every time. It's like building the plane as you're flying it, so to speak. And then the neurosurgeon, if you were mostly D's, your superpower is high stakes precision work. So you ensure ethical practices, safety, thoroughness, and try to do that in the world that we're living in right now. the lag, you might miss opportunities by waiting for certainty, while others are moving and moving and breaking things and doing done is better than perfect kinds of things. So something to you can do to train is iterate small control tests in safe environments, micro experiments, if you will, and understand what needs to be perfect versus what can be improved later. So, if you're operating and doing brain surgery, you probably do need to be super precise, but some of these other things don't have to be all the way there before you can move forward with them. All right. So why? I thought that was fun. So why this? Because you want to surround yourself with people who are different, right? You want to find if you're one of those archetypes and you want to train away the pitfalls, you want to find people that are on the opposite spectrum as you and others so that you can practice all of those skills. And it helps build a team. If you're working with clients, this is something you might want to share with them and say, we have to learn about other people's ways of thinking and how other people's agility quotient works so that we can help them and support them on their journeys as well. So, we all have to adapt every single day, multiple times a day. So, but it's super, super vital for leadership. It's super vital for especially thought leadership in this ever-changing landscape. So, adapting quickly, understanding the connections between things, and building diverse teams is super important. And I would love to know anybody's superpower. That would be really cool. I think I'm on the edge of firefighter and novelist, somewhere in there. It's like half and half.
Very cool. Who has enlightening as always, Toy. Thank you so much for putting that together. Um, it's always great when presented with an opportunity to investigate what's happening in our mind a little bit more and surface some nuggets of who we are, how we operate, and how we can possibly tune that a little bit better to deal in the context that we're in these days. I didn't know what an agility quotient was, but now I do, and I'm gonna, dig into that a little bit more. Does anybody have any
I
questions, comments?
love Joel's. Joel's just all over.
What did he say?
Joel's all over the board there.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it.
You know, not everybody's gonna fall cleanly in one bucket. So yeah, that's all part of it. Any comments, questions,
I have
concerns
one. Of
for Toy?
course,
Steve, sure.
I have a question for Toy. So I'm three Ds, a C, and an A. I chose as I interpreted the question and how would I react. That's how I responded. If I'm three Ds, I'm mostly, I guess, the neurosurgeon at the end, I would imagine. Or do the other two have some sort of variant to it? So you're that, but you're also a little bit of this.
Yeah, well, it's if we teased it out and did like 30 questions, it might be a little, you'd get a little more maybe in one bucket or the other. One of the issues I've always had my whole life is whenever I take any personality assessment, it's like on the edge of two things, and oh, which one is it? But
You're
we're all a little
torn.
bit of all
That's
of
because
them.
you're
So yeah,
torn. But
that's
all of these, like Colby or Disc or Working Genius, they're all based in and around. We are who we are. Modus operandi. You know, not going to change us. You could teach us stuff, but the agility quotient is pretty cool. I like it.
Thank you. I thought it would be fun because I didn't want to be all, I wanted to do, I mean, this is an exciting time, right? This is a super, super exciting time for all of us. I know we're all of like minds when it comes to like, because we're all here, we're here, right? We're all excited about AI. We're all like, I feel like I'm running a marathon every day in a good way where I'm just but it sometimes you have to pull back a little bit. And I want to share with you because I know that Lee, you're going to do the wins for the week and I think that this is a win. But I did the open claw this week. And I've talked to a couple people about it and gotten some advice. So he's still, I named it Mac because it's on my Mac, and that's really creative, right? But he's still Mac in the box. But I thought that was so. I wanted to share that because I got him a Gamma account, like all on this, only on his thing. Like he has his own thing, and doesn't touch anything else. And he created that for me, and that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Eating your own dog food, as they say.
I am. Yeah.
Uh,
I hope not.
th- very, very well done. Um, Terrence, welcome to the call. You missed the beginning. Toy took us through an exercise on AQ, which is agility quotient, and I would encourage you to catch the recording and look at that. Um, Anybody else have comments? That was cool. I enjoyed that. Very, very cool. Trying to bring in perspective and give us all tools to deal with the world that we're living in because our reptile brains are not wired for what's happening right now in our lives. And guess what? It's not going to change anytime too soon. So, yeah, the more tools we can provide to everybody, the more perspectives. We're all in different places in terms of how we're, managing and dealing with this. It's I Yeah, we'll just keep falling forward. All right, so Toy mentioned wins of the week, and thank you for that nice segue. This is the wins of the week time of the call. I've got one to share. So I received a out of the blue, hey, we're doing a CEO, CMO, CRO roundtable call, and I want to invite you as my guest. And I was sort of like, I looked at the individual's profile and I was gonna bag it and not really do it. And I was like, no, just go. It's we need to be getting in front of people, whether it's doing a chamber event or some other networking event or whatever. So I jumped on the call. There were 75 people on the call. It's what, typical call, people throw their LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn links in there. Hey, happy to connect with anybody. So I um, was on the call and I reached out to 20 people who shared their LinkedIn connection link and said, hey, I was on the call with you, would be happy to connect here. And out of those 20, I have 6 calls that are scheduled.
Was that the Michael
So
Filato call?
it was the Michael Filato call.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Good marketing.
So,
He
so
knows
the
his stuff.
point is, yeah, so the point is, even if you think something may not be worth your time, it's a small investment. It was an hour for me to be on the call. It was an hour for me to send out, invites to everybody and connect. I still have people that are connecting with me. So a lot more people connected with me. Most of the 20 people who connected with me, did so. And as I said, 8 of the people were like, hey, I'd love to learn more about what you're doing. I think there's some opportunities for us to do stuff together. Let's have a conversation. So that 2 hour investment turned into a return of 8 calls. That's a pretty good return ratio for me. I'll take that. So that's my win for the week. And who else has wins that they want to share?
I want to
Terry.
let somebody else go. I'm not saying anything.
Hey, Terry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So just really quickly, so for me, I started the beginning of this week with needing to do 6 proposals. As of today, that has now doubled and it's 12 proposals that I've got to
Wow.
get together. So this week, what I added was 4 economic development corporations, 4 EDCs want proposals for me. A nonprofit wants a proposal for an engagement, and a SaaS company wants a proposal for me to be an in-house AI trainer for them because they realize, hey, and then they seen me on social media, have followed me for a while, and they realize, hey, this is something else that we can package, not just to offer our AI product, but to offer training that goes along with it to clients. So it's going to be no rest this weekend as I try to pump out 12 proposals.
Let AI
Very
do it.
cool.
Oh, trust me, it will
That's
be.
a
So
champagne
again,
problem.
y'all just keep plugging, and a lot of it is visibility. People seeing me on social, people hearing me at trainings. So keep plugging and get out there and start doing training, speaking engagements, and those sorts of things.
Absolutely. And I'll also uh support at this point in time, at least, regular posting on LinkedIn and regular response to people that are engaging with your posts on LinkedIn. I shared a win a while ago, and I'm now consistently getting, multi-thousand impressions on posts that I'm, putting on LinkedIn, and those are turning into conversations. And those are, if you're posting on LinkedIn and somebody's commenting and engaging and you've got, some nice back and forth going on, you have every right to, DM that person and say, "Hey, I really enjoyed the conversations we're having on LinkedIn. Thanks for your engagement with my posts. Wondering if there's an opportunity for us to, jump on a call. I'd like to learn more about your business and, what you're doing. You're building that relationship. You're building that, you're warming it up, and it's not a cold relationship at that point. I also have other people in the AI space. I've made an observation here. So there are other people in the AI space doing similar things to what I'm doing who are getting active in my feed, because that's helping to elevate them. So, do I permit that and do I engage with them? Absolutely. It's a big blue ocean. There's lots of room for all of us out there. And there's no reason to, not engage with people that are perceived competitors, because you never know when there's an opportunity that's going to come along where you're going to work together. So those are
They
those
might
are
be
opportunities.
connected to someone that's located next to you, and that person can physically meet you, and they prefer to do business that way. You don't know.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I talk to everybody.
I have one individual who, he's not necessarily trolling me, but AI is leftist and AI tells you lies, and you know I haven't blocked him yet, but I'm not necessarily responding to him. So, you know, if I'm getting 35 comments and one of them falls in that troll bucket, that's okay. I'll just leave that alone. So, who else has any wins for the week? Nobody else.
I actually have them.
Steve, go, man.
Every week's a win. I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm here. Come on. But no, on a serious note, I went to this 3-day workshop with Rich Sefrin, who was like the godfather of the internet marketing 20 years ago. And it was all about creating your AI imprint, which is basically your voice, like who you are, what you do, what you think, anything and everything about you, and how to do it. And he wrote some prompts. And it basically takes you through a series of questions to dig out the real, not the surface level, but the real deep level of like, where you are, what's your position, what's your true point of view, where you really like stifled or struggling. And it was eye-opening for me. It was really, really good. It helped me to understand. I know exactly what my problem is and why I'm having trouble selling. It's that I don't feel I have validation because I've not really sold a true AI implementation. I've done lots of workshops. I get paid. That's great. It's a little bit of money, but I've not really done the thing. All these proposals and all that, so I don't have that. It's a subconscious problem I have to get over in my own head that I haven't validated myself because I am really good at it. And on top of that, my other win is I've been using Claude Code like a freaking nut job. I've been like at this desk. I have written an AI ROI checker or tracker rather, which will track how much time you've saved on your projects, how much money you've saved on your projects, and you can like enter it in weekly or monthly. And I also created a kind of like a risk exposure audit, which I'm still kind of working on. That one's got some more to go to it. But I'm finding just having a great time actually creating programs now because I don't have to write the code, which is really cool. I mean,
Very cool.
I think it takes some technical ability because you got to connect it to like Supabase where you can't store their names and their logins and their passwords or some other database or Clerk or whatever. But it's been fun. So for me, that's a win. So I'm starting to feel some of that gratification, which is cool.
Very, very cool. I was also on the 3-day Rich Schefrin
Oh,
call,
he's an
and
animal.
I know that Raj was also on that call as well. And Raj has been following Rich longer than I have. So yes, the ability to get the AI to really know who we are and be able to think like we think. There's another gentleman, I shared it previously, Ruben Hassid, who you can follow on Substack, and he puts out, you know, he did an article where, I am a markdown file, which is basically how to all these questions that get answered so that the AI knows who you are. It's like 100 questions. It's like a 2 hour process to go through it and answer it and be honest and do all that kind of stuff. But you can do that for your own individual voice. You can do that for the brand voice of the company that you're working for or with. But the more you can model the model into you and how you think and how you respond, then you're just going to get better results. And that's the difference between somebody who, sits down at a chat box and just types in a question versus somebody who spends a day or a week, or in Rich's case, he said he spent a year developing, this AI personality. You just get the better results from it. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting too, Steve. And I jotted down all his prompts, but I haven't gone through really
Yeah, I
running
haven't
them.
dug into them. I have them all, and I haven't like gone through to look at like what he's really doing yet. Or I just went through the questions and I answered them. I did the homework, basically.
Yep, very cool. So
Uh,
anybody's interested,
and
definitely check that out.
gentlemen, who invited you for that Rich Saffron's webinar?
I don't know how I got it. It was probably you. I have no idea how I got there, man.
Well, Raj, you invited me, so there.
Did you invite me, Raj? Well, thank you if you did.
I sent about 20 DMs in Chief AI Officer to only people that I have
Yes.
communicated before, or I kind of had a conversation before. So yeah, that's
No,
how it
you
happened.
DM me in Chief AI Officer. Thank you for that. I appreciate it, man. That was really cool.
The power of the community. Raj has been, as I said, a follower of Rich previously. He's been exposed to his work. So it was a vetted. I know if Raj tells me to check something out, I know that he already has.
Yep.
So he's not going to send me down, a rabbit hole that's not worth it. So cool. Good wins across the board for everybody. Sherry, I like your comment. People come to your trainings and then, go off and do their own content. And yeah, they're out of business already. So it's a big space. You can't worry about it. All the years that I had my digital marketing agency, I never looked in the rearview mirror. I was always looking in the windshield. Look, going forward, that's where the opportunities are. So anybody else have any wins, any questions? This is a Q&A call. So questions, concerns, things that are going on in your world with AI, anything the community hive mind can help you with. All right. All right. Well, let's get into some news and things that are happening this week. John, welcome. What's up?
Yes, hi. I have a couple of wins I think that I'd like to share. Me
Please.
being new to this community. So we this last week working on the CAIO certification, and it was really kind of out of mind experience in a way because you're ending up thinking about how to do it. And you start thinking about how to use AI to help solve the problems. And next thing you know, you just go from this narrowish kind of view to this open world. It's like the mind, now that the mind is open, it's never going to shrink kind of mentality. And here, the beauty for me here at the, I'm a winery owner here in Niagara Lake, Canada, and I get to pilot all my stuff here at the winery, which is really quite amazing. I'm working on now as with Replit now, trying just learning that and seeing how can I actually work on this and how can I actually um, use these tools. And funny enough, we're now working on I'm now working on a tool to look at projected sales for the next 2 3 years out because wine obviously is you've got a plan for not the next 3 months, it's like the next 3 years. And so using that, look at the sales data, look at where, and now because we're increasing the sales on different channels to see what impact that's going to have on wine inventory. And so I can plan, like, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? There's multiple things there. And then also I'm now using it, going to be using it as soon as I figure that out to look at the price volume variance. And the price volume variance is if I increase the price, the volume may go down, but does the contribution increase? And which wines could I do that on? Because I have, I'd say 6 years of data, sales data by day, by month, by year, by wine, by class of wine. And so it's really kind of cool to be able to, like, I'm a CPA in an MBA and ex Deloitte, so I always think strategically about how like a lot of the stuff we talk about is how to reduce costs, but I'm now flipping that and saying how do I increase revenue?
Yep.
How to increase margins? And you always think of these things, and you're using Excel, and it's just so tedious and so time consuming. And now with AI and the tools that we have, at least that I've discovered, it's like it's just so exciting. So it was this week has been an incredible week for me in my journey through the CA officer course and the learning, and it's just incredible, just absolutely incredible. So thank you all for what you all do, and especially calls like this where you get to learn and share. It's an amazing community. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Glad you're here. Say hi to Mark. John is partners with Mark Garrett, who most people here on the call may know. And yeah, we're glad that you're here and engaging. And yeah, I mean, to have the volume of data that you have and to have some amazing new tools now to be able to slice and dice into that. I mean, I never got into pivot tables in Excel. That was just like above my pay grade, because that's a way to dissect the data and look at it and from different angles. Clearly, we've got that happening here now, and having nothing in the world to do with AI. You talked about 2 year, 3 year lead time frame that you're operating off of. So everybody has heard of the Del Monte Corporation, canned fruits and vegetables and all those kind of things. They went through a bankruptcy recently, and there are peach farmers in California who have 20-year contracts with Del Monte that now have nowhere to send their product because Del Monte has gone bankrupt. And the peach canning facility that these people had these contracts with, so all these farmers are now looking at, I've got this 20-year agreement, and now I've got to like literally rip out of the ground these orchards that I have. And yeah, so you're good in a 2 to 3 year window, much better than having a 20-year contract. All right,
Hey,
everybody, let's get into some
hey,
news.
Lee, can
Yeah, tell me.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to
No,
tell
no.
everybody I have to go to another meeting. So I didn't want to just bloop away and then everyone's like, oh, why should do that? So not being rude, got to go to another meeting. So y'all, thank you so much for having me. Awesome, awesome stuff. This is like this wonderful call. I love it so much.
Appreciate you here. Look forward to continuing and learning and giving us tools to deal with it. So thank you, Toy. Appreciate you being here. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye, everybody.
All right, let's get into some news and stuff that's going on in the world. And you know that I'm not going to bring you just, oh, there's this new model, and oh, look, we can make this new video. All right, so let's start off with what's happening in the world of the Pentagon, or the Department of War, as it has been renamed, because we want to make war. Um, Visual slides, you asked for them, you got them. Alrighty, so let's talk about what's been going on here. So Anthropic, makers of Claude, announced yesterday that it cannot, in good conscience, comply with the Pentagon's demand to remove safety precautions from its Claude AI model and grant unfettered access to U.S. military capabilities. The Department of Defense, led by Secretary Pete Hegseth, threatened to cancel a $200 million contract and label Anthropic as a supply chain risk, which would have severe implications financially for the ability of of Anthropic to do business with anybody, if this were applied to them, if the demands were not met by Friday. So Anthropic actually replied yesterday. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei issued a statement affirming the company's stance, stating threats would not change their position and expressing hope that Hegseth would reconsider. He emphasized a preference to continue serving the Department of Defense and warfighters with two specific safeguards intact. Core disputes centers upon usage restrictions. The Pentagon demands all lawful uses without safety guardrails. Anthropic opposes Claude for two specific use cases: mass domestic surveillance or autonomous weapon systems that kill without human input. After months of disputes, Hegseth reportedly gave Amadei until Friday evening to comply or face action, testing Anthropic's safety claims amid government pressure for controversial AI military applications. Anthropic was one of several firms, including Google and OpenAI, that were awarded up to $200 million DoD contracts back in July of 2025. It was uniquely approved for classified systems until X reached a similar agreement this week. Claude has been used in military operations, such as the U.S. capture of Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro last month, amid rising AI integration. I'm sorry, amid rising AI integration in conflicts like autonomous drones. Anthropic and Amadei are prominent AI safety advocates, pushing regulation despite military deals, recently watered down policy on pre-release safety guarantees. Amadei's anti-Trump history clashes with Hegseth's anti-wokeness military agenda. So there's some other sand in the gears here. Labeling Anthropic a supply chain risk would bar other military users, I'm sorry, other military vendors from using its products. This is typically reserved classification for foreign adversaries. So, yeah, there's some flexing going on here. Anthropic, um, Dario and the founders of Anthropic came out of OpenAI and started Anthropic with a view of more safety, more guardrails than what they observed as taking place inside OpenAI. So they've been kind of the safety first, the guardrail first. Amadei is taking a pretty strong stand here on the two use cases of domestic mass surveillance and autonomous strike capabilities within weapon systems. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. The Pentagon has the ability to basically invoke, I think it's called the War Powers Act or something like that, but the Pentagon can force companies in the United States to comply with their requirements. This was done during like World War II, where the Pentagon mandated that manufacturing companies had to stop making cars and they had to start making planes and things like that. So there's some legal tools that the Pentagon has, along with the threat of putting Anthropic on this list. Um, Putting it out there. It's the world we live in. Sherry says, my understanding is that other LLMs have folded. I believe that is the case. I don't know what the particular beef is, again, between Anthropic or between Amadei and Hegseth, but it's getting played out in real time here. So as of last night, Anthropic said no, and we will see where it goes from there. All righty. Alrighty. So, continuing in Anthropic here, Dario had a recent interview. Give you the visual slide here for it. So Amade clarifies that the end of the exponential refers not to slowing progress, but to the end game phase where AI saturates all human level benchmarks, entering a transformative stage. This was in a recent interview. The most surprising aspect of the past 3 years per Amadei is the lack of public recognition of how close AI is to surpassing human cognitive capabilities across all tasks, despite progress aligning with his expectations. So, in his 2017 paper called The Big Blob of Compute Hypothesis, he predicted that increased compute, higher data quality, and better knowledge, smarter models. All three scaling laws, pre-training, post-training, and test time compute are still validating this hypothesis. He predicts a country of geniuses in a data center equivalent within 1 to 3 years due to these advancements. The main uncertainty lies not in AI capabilities, but in its diffusion into the economy, including adoption by organizations, industries, and governments. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So here's some of the key metrics that he highlighted. Anthropic's revenue grew from 0 to 10 billion in 3 years, and plausible AI industry revenue in the trillions will be models before 2030. Scaling laws remain robust, pre-training on a log linear trajectory, reinforcement learning showing similar gains, and test time compute, meaning how long can a model do a task, is also adding further improvements. Continual learning discussed as the next major breakthrough. This is where models currently stop learning post cutoff date and rely on tools for new info. But Amadei sees this is largely solvable, enabling human-like ongoing learning, um, which is what, all of us are used to every day, ongoing learning. As humans, we don't have a cutoff date. Anthropic's rapid success, exemplified by Claude Code, evolving from internal tool to category leader, but Amadei candidly warns of financial risks. Investing in trillion-dollar compute could lead to bankruptcy if revenue timelines slip by even 1 year. And he's making that prediction across all of the large language model frontiers and all of the, financial bets that are being made. Um, Paul Reitzer from the SmartRx podcast interprets this as a critique of OpenAI's Stargate project, which is noting that emerging cracks in such aggressive bets, positioning Anthropic as taking a more measured risk approach. I think Stargate has pretty much fallen apart. That was the whole, we're going to build all these data centers, we're going to build all these power plants. It was an initiative from the White House. I think that's pretty much fallen apart at this point in time. Amadei projects industry equilibrium with 50-50 compute split between training and inference. Inference is when we're using it, when we're talking to the box on our screen, that's inference, yielding 75% gross margins on inference. So inference is much more profitable for the AI companies than the training exercises that they do. Um, see what else is going on in here. Rates are praised Amadei and Dennis Hassabis at DeepMind for insights connecting AI's broader trajectory, and the financial dynamics are really underscoring AI, the AI boom's fragility. Is it being overestimated and over optimistic? Okay. So what to watch here? Progress on continual learning, which could dramatically narrow the AI human gaps if solved. Tension between Anthropic's caution and OpenAI's scale, with market reactions to risks and good enough models influencing enterprise decisions. So this good enough thing has come up more than once. I talked about it a while ago. If, development stopped today on new AI models, the diffusion of what we have now into the market, into the jobs, into the economy, into society, would, ripple through and have impact for the next 10 years at least if we just stopped right now. I'm not advocating that we do stop right now, but we're at models where it is good enough. We don't have to take, these next big leaps. I've got two more news items. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Just wanted to bring the time to your attention. If you do need to leave, I'm glad that you were here and appreciate your engagement and participation. Hope you have a great weekend. If you have to leave, catch the recording for the last two news items. If you can stay for another 10 minutes, we'll be wrapping up the call in that time frame. Righty here. So next news item. Um, this is issues that have actually brought Democrats and Republicans together. So we're going to talk a little bit of politics here. We're going to talk about data centers. We're going to talk about um, where politics is aligning with what's happening in the world of AI, and how this is going to become more and more of an issue in the midterm elections that are coming up here in the United States, as I've mentioned in the past. So, unlike federal partisan gridlock, state level Democrats and Republicans are uniting on key 2026 legislative issues, including AI regulation, data center oversight, and housing affordability. Political scientist David Primo noted that big tech has disrupted traditional left-right ideologies, enabling conservatives and liberals to target perceived problems like unchecked AI growth. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis supports the Artificial Intelligence Bill of Rights, which prohibits using a person's name, image, or likeness without consent, requires parental permission for minors using companion chatbots, and mandates bots to disclose they are not human. DeSantis warns of an age of darkness and deceit without regulation, criticizing tech firms for prioritizing profits over safety. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is advancing bans on chatbots in social media for children under 18, and further restrictions on bot interactions with use, shifting responsibility from parents to the app companies themselves. New York already requires chatbots to identify themselves as non-humans. Nearly every state has AI regulation proposals, including oversight for AI employee decisions and bans on AI surveillance for price discrimination, despite a Trump executive order discouraging state AI rules, legislators are proceeding. AI surveillance for price discrimination. We're starting to see, I don't have them here where I live yet, but smart tags on grocery store shelves where there are cameras that will look at who's cruising the aisle and adjust the pricing on the items on the shelf based on perceived profile of the people that are shopping. So they're already putting legislation in effect that no, you can't do that. Data centers for AI demand massive electricity and water, raising concerns about power grid impacts, higher utility bills for residents, and overstated benefits like job creation or tax relief. Florida's Republican-led Senate targets data center water and energy effects. South Dakota prevents state overrides of local data center regulations. Oklahoma considers limits on data center growth. Trump supports data center expansion. He mentioned in the State of the Union this week, but is looking to require tech firms to fund their own power plants and pay higher electricity rates to protect consumers. Supposedly, there's a meeting next week where all the big AI companies are coming in and to Washington, and they're going to sign an agreement where the U.S. government is basically saying, "Fine, you guys, go build your own power plants. You need to comply with some of these regulations, but this massive federal investment in building plants looks like that, may not be happening." And of course, citizens are pushing back because they're seeing their electric bills go up due to these infrastructure improvements that are uh, definitely related to, data centers that are happening. So the administration is basically saying to the AI frontier companies, you can go be your own utility company. So we're going to see some interesting fragmentation in the utility markets because of this. Getting back, Democratic lawmakers in New York and Maine, plus Republicans in Oklahoma, proposed temporary data center bans. New York's Public Service Commission will review fair cost sharing. Colorado mandates renewable energy for data centers, and multiple states are exploring nuclear energy expansion for data power needs. Tech companies oppose state regulation as a patchwork, which stifles innovation, and they are funding political campaigns against them. So, as I've mentioned before, there are actually super PACs that now exist, and the super PACs are historically aligned along party lines. There are new super PACs now that are aligned along, does a candidate support or not support certain AI initiatives? So based on a candidate's position on AI regulation, on data center expansion, on power expansion, on all those things, these super PACs are going to funnel money to the candidate based on their position on these topics, regardless of their political affiliation. So we're seeing, new rules happening in politics. Housing affordability definitely unites the parties. Florida's bipartisan bill loosens accessory dwelling unit restrictions. DeSantis pushes property tax cuts, opposed by Democrats favoring insurance rate reductions. Um, my homeowner's insurance went from $2,000 a year last year to over $4,000 this year. So I don't know what's happening in the insurance space, but it's insane. New York and others are streamlining environmental rules. They're looking to cut building regulations, strengthen tenant rights, and improve rental availability. So the bipartisan tech frontier, we actually have a topic that crosses party lines where both parties are agreeing, and we'll see how that plays out in the elections. All right. Um, we have Microsoft. This is the last topic for today. Um, Mustafa Solomon predicts kind of an 18-month clock on white collar jobs in 12 to 18 months, but organizational adoption barriers will significantly delay actual job displacement. So, Solomon has highlighted Microsoft's strategic shift towards building its own frontier foundation models for true self-sufficiency. So Microsoft has historically been aligned with OpenAI. Both companies have invested in each other. Microsoft is now bringing Anthropic's Claude models into Copilot. So if you are in the Microsoft ecosystem, you using like Office 365 environments, you should now or shortly be able to see Claude as an available option inside there. So they are looking to reduce their reliance on OpenAI, and they are looking to invest $140 billion in AI infrastructure capital this fiscal year. His prediction occurs among heightened workforce anxiety, including Andrew Yang's post estimating 20 to 50% impact on approximately 70 million US white collar workers, calling it the fucking, and that's not my word, but this is Andrew Yang, who was a candidate and ran in the Democratic primary in the last election cycle. He's an entrepreneur. He's in the tech space. He's got a new book that's coming out, and he has a label for this, and it's called The Fucking, with the risks of mass layoffs, bankruptcies, empty downtowns, and unemployable graduates. Federal Reserve Governor has outlined three scenarios for AI's labor market impact: gradual adoption, rapid takeoff, which is capabilities outpacing adjustment, and others, as reported by Axios. The Atlantic published a feature on the worst case future for white collar workers. Key numbers include 12 to 18 months, which is Suleiman's timeline, approximately 70 million US white collar workers per Yang, and $140 billion, which is Microsoft's AI spend coming up. Um, do, 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 do. All right, so SmarterX founder Paul Reitzer, in an episode of his artificial intelligence show, agreed AI could handle digital work in 18 to 20 months, 18 to 24 months, but called Solomon's statement, quote, absurd due to adoption hurdles. Companies take months to approve tools like ChatGPT. Less than 0.5% of knowledge workers have built a custom GPT despite 3 years of access. Okay. That number again, less than 0.5% of knowledge workers have even built a custom GPT despite them being around for about 3 years. This highlights a definite need for training and implementation. And again, it's not diffusing into the economy at the rate that Solomon predicts that it might. Reitzer emphasized executives often don't comprehend AI's current capabilities. He is talking to senior level executives at wide-ranging sizes of companies, from small to enterprise. And in real time, he's having these meetings every week, and he comes on the podcast every week and says, the people we're talking to, they don't have a clue. They just don't know. The article notes a prediction cascade with convergence from Solomon, Yang, and the Fed, signaling serious white collar disruption despite early stage adoption. Solomon's timeline is directionally correct on capability, but wrong on adoption due to slow organizations, change management, executive misunderstanding. Displacement will take longer, but it is inevitable, and you need to focus on companies' AI readiness. So politicization via Yang's book media tour and the midterms coming up. We're gonna see more of this. The Fed has put different scenarios out where they're actually looking at this now. The Fed has always looked, historically backwards, and now they're starting to look a little bit forward and trying to see where this is all going to land. So that's it for my show and tell today. Trying to stop my screen share. There we go. Any comments, questions? Was there anything that I missed in the chat, Jill, that anybody asked that I didn't get answered? Doesn't look like there is. Okay, so that's the world. We've got politics, we've got the Pentagon. Those are open and ongoing stories. We've got alignment between the parties on some important issues which are happening in our country. And it keeps on changing. So I really appreciate Toy's session today. I hope you all did as well. I appreciate everybody being here on the call today. Last call for any questions, comments, or anything else that's going on in your world. If not, I'm going to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Have fun out there. Take some time away from your screens. Go out, breathe some fresh air, get some sunshine on your body, and do something nice for yourself that doesn't involve AI. We don't have to be thinking about AI all the time. For me, I can't turn it off. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm lying in bed awake thinking about AI. That's me. It's how I'm wired. But I have people around me who encourage me to get out of the house and go do something different. So I need to listen to them more. But anyhow, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. See you on the calls that are coming up for next week. Be sure to check out the event schedule, and we will see you here next week. Yeah, get grounded. And grounding involves taking your shoes off, taking your socks off, and going outside and standing in the grass. That's how you get grounded. Terrence, you know it. All right, everybody, have yourself a wonderful weekend. See you next week. Appreciate you all again for being here. Bye bye.